to another edition of the train station. As always, I am your host, A Train. Also, a topic that I have discussed multiple times over and over again, and this is probably the last time because frankly, I'm tired of talking about it. The whole video idea actually sparked from a tweet I received a few days ago, earlier this week, and yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. For those of you that don't know, I get questioned about my Lions fandom quite a bit because I'm truthful and honest when it comes to the Lions, and people don't seem to realize that. So let's jump right into it. The whole tweet started when Lamar Jackson actually had his whole contract renewal thing with the Ravens that was turned down, and everybody, Lions fans, are like, well, they have a good offensive line, so they need a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, and they're Super Bowl bound. And what I said was, not with the Fords in charge. The person that sparked this whole video replied with this: stop blaming the owners. Such a played out narrative. Martha is doing everything right and hired all the right people thus far. The way this team performs now is out of her hands. That could not be further from the truth. Martha is still a Ford. The Ford name is still attached to the Lions. Therefore, anything that the Lions now do is still attached to Martha, and she is still responsible for how this team performs at the end of the day. Doesn't matter who she brings in, doesn't matter who they hire. At the end of the day, the Fords fail to want a winning football team. So with that being said, blaming the owners is not an old narrative. It is still the narrative. Think about it. This team, the fans want a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. You just had a quarterback. Sent him out of town after 12 seasons. He also wanted out of town after 12 seasons. Arguably the greatest quarterback in franchise history in Matthew Stafford. The Lions, the only team to have the greatest player at his position of all time retire early, and Barry Sanders, because you guys wouldn't trade him because you treated him like crap and wouldn't give him a team. Calvin Johnson, arguably a top 5 wide receiver of all time. You sent him away into retirement because you wouldn't build a team. Everybody that says the owners is a played out narrative is lying. Players change, coaches change, GMs change, but the results stay the same. And why might that be? Because the Fords still own the team. Now, this is not solely on the Fords, but I'm also coming at the fans here. Now, listen up. Just because the Lions were on HBO Max for Hard Knocks does not mean go out and buy tickets to the game. The Fords are reluctant to sell because the fans are the definition of delusional and insane. When you look up the definition of insane, what is it? Doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting different results. That is what Lions fans are, each and every single week. Each and every single week, Lions fans fill Ford Field expecting a win just to be let down in the end. This continues to happen each and every single week, and they continue to believe in the Lions. Yet, I understand, football's king, whatever, but in the city of Detroit, only the Lions get respected for being perennial losers. When the Pistons are bad, nobody goes to the games. When the Tigers are bad, nobody goes to the games. When the Red Wings are bad, nobody goes to the games. Now, I understand there's a lot more basketball, football, and baseball games in a season than there is for football. That still doesn't excuse going to see a losing team. Why does everybody feel the need to pack Ford Field each and every week? And then this past weekend against the Eagles, there was standing room only, simply because they were on HBO Max. So the fans are as much to blame as the owners are, because the fans are giving no incentive to the Fords to sell, because they want to keep lining up the Fords' pockets time after time after time after time. But here's where the real issue is. Once again, my fandom is being questioned because I want better for the team. Because, when they said stop blaming the owners, I said, stop blaming the owners? Question mark. At what point do the owners become responsible? The owners aren't willing to put out a competent team, and the fans are okay with that, and they continue to put out and buy tickets. Even if the Lions could go 0-17 for the next 6 seasons, and fans would still sell out Ford Field. And I, quite frankly, do not understand it. So after I said that, I said, why put out a good team if people are still going to sell out the stadium and come watch a product of a bad team and bad players and this and that. Some guy goes, then follow a different team. Just because I'm critical of a team, you are allowed to follow a team and be critical of the decisions that they make or realize the flaws that they have. Why do people watch TV shows and complain that they don't like something, but then you want to tell me to go find a different team? How about you stop complaining about the TV shows that you watch, or stop complaining about the food that you get in the restaurant when it's not up to your standards, or stop complaining in life? It's okay to realize flaws that these teams have and call them out. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't understand why everybody always tells me, go root for a new team or go find a different team. Honestly, Lions fans are delusional, and they're becoming worse than Cowboys fans because of the way that they think and the way that they act. Yes, one day I woke up and decided I'm going to follow my home team, Lions. I don't know why I decided to do that. But, here we are. So don't question my fandom, because I am more realistic than you are. I'm not drinking the Lions Kool-Aid. I put the Lions Kool-Aid down. And now you suddenly decided that it's a good idea to call me out because you know I'm right, and you have nothing better to say than follow a new team. Because your delusional mind, you think everything's okay and nothing needs changed, and the Lions are just gonna, it needs time this time. You know what needs time? My patience. Because my patience is wearing thin, dealing with stupid Lions fans, dealing with the losing team. But at this point, it doesn't matter. You could try to root for a new team, and if they're good, you're suddenly called a bandwagon. Or if you've been following a different team for, an X amount of time, you follow 2 teams. It shouldn't matter who I root for, as long as I see the root of the problem. But Lions fans are honestly delusional. Now that I am where I'm at, I see Cowboys fans really starting to ease off, calm down. They're not so delusional as they once were. Because honestly, why did people hate the Cowboys? Because of their fans. Why am I starting to hate my own team that I root for? Because of the fans. Why would I want to sit here and become something that I hate? Cowboys fans are delusional each and every year. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl. This is our year, blah, blah, blah. We've been hearing this since the 1980s. The Lions, each and every year, coaches change, quarterbacks leave, running backs leave, receivers leave, coaches change, GMs change, the owners stay the same. Maybe we'll be good this year. The Lions have not been good since the 50s. Get it through your thick skulls. The one constant that has been there ever since the 50s. It's not the coach. It's not the players. It's the owners. Not to mention, the one time the Lions had a winning coach wasn't good enough for Lions fans. I'm convinced Lions fans don't want a winning football team. Jim Caldwell was in here. He made the playoffs twice with the Lions. Made the playoffs twice. Do you know how hard that is as a coach of the Lions to make the playoffs not only once but twice? And the fans thought he didn't win enough and needs to be ran out of town. The man made the man, as a coach of the Detroit Lions, made the playoffs. There should be a statue outside of Ford Field of this man. I'm not even joking. build a statue of Jim Caldwell outside the stadium for getting this team to the playoffs. Yes, they didn't win, and yes, he was very conservative at times, but he's been the best coach the Lions have had in the last 20 years, and they ran him out of town because he didn't win enough. Now what do we got? Well, now we were stuck with Matt Patricia, and Bob Quinn. That was an absolute disaster, and now we have Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, who seem like okay, who seem like they're okay, but they're not as good as they had in Jim Caldwell. Why Jim Caldwell was fired, I will still never understand to this day. To me personally, he was too conservative in big moments of the game, but he won. He was a consistent winner with the Lions. You don't get that very often. And that is why I said the Fords need to go, because the Fords listened to the fans for once. One time they actually listened to the fans. And they got rid of the best coach the team's had in the last 20 years. It's been downhill since. It was downhill before that, but at least with Jim Caldwell, it looked like they were headed. The trajectory was at least heading up a little bit. As a Lions fan, I will take constant playoff appearances or being right there on the cusp of the playoffs each and every single year. I will take that. What I won't take is constant losing, constant being like, oh my God, it's not the owners. The Lions just need this or need that or need this. Why do you think teams like the Packers or the Ravens or the Patriots, for that matter, are always good or always on the verge of winning 10 games, 9 games each and every year? Because they have competent people in the front office that know what it takes to build a winning football team. The Lions, if the Lions go get a quarterback, let's say they go get a guy like Lamar Jackson, or they go get Patrick Mahomes, then there's going to be another issue with the team that they need to fix, and that's going to set them back another 5 years. The Lions always need something different. It's never enough. Why do teams like the Packers always have what it is enough, and then they end up drafting or they sign a plug-and-play piece that ends up being very successful and they're able to win right away? Why can't the Lions figure out a way to do that? They had a quarterback, they had a wide receiver, they had a decent defense, but they didn't have an offensive line. So then they built their offensive line. Now they don't have a defense. Now they don't have a quarterback. They have decent wide receivers and a good run game. But now they don't have the rest of it that they need to be successful. Why is that? Why can't the owners figure it out by now to put together a decent team, keep that team around, and then slowly fill in the gaps of one or two pieces that are needed? Like, you don't need an entire defense. You might only need a safety. So go out and either draft a safety or pick up one in free agency, have that safety come plug and play, and you're still going to remain successful. It's really not that hard to figure out. Yet somehow the Fords and the fan base, after all this time, still cannot figure it out. And it's honestly frustrating and infuriating. I'm honestly tired of talking about it. This is the last time I want to talk about it. I just wanted to come on here and say, do not question my fandom. Do not do this and that. Don't tell me not to blame the owners when they are the only ones to blame at this point. Tell me to go root for a different team. Honestly, the way the fans are at this point, I don't even like the Lions. I hope all failure happens to the Lions. Don't get me wrong. I love the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit is great, and the city of Detroit deserves a good football team. The fans of the Detroit Lions do not deserve a good football team. And that is how I'm going to end this video. Please go check out all my other videos on the channel. I have a lot of good videos up there. I'm gone this weekend, but I'm thinking next weekend I kind of want to do a live stream on YouTube. Maybe of the new Saints Row. Maybe I'll live stream the ending of Saints Row 4 with my buddy. Maybe I'll get on there and stream some Apex, but I want to do a live stream on YouTube. See the difference between YouTube and Twitch, which one people like better. Don't forget to follow my social medias on the link below. Definitely that last one. Subscribe to the YouTube, wherever you're watching this video from. And just bear with me, I got some good videos in mind. College football just expanded to a 12-team playoff in the near future. I might get on there and talk about that. But like I said, there's a lot of gaming things that I want to accomplish as well. Not really sure what else I'm going to talk about or when I'm going to be back, but expect a live stream at some point, either next week or next weekend. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my little rant for the last time on the lines. I will no longer be speaking on this issue because I no longer care enough. I just get very frustrated when people come on and try and tell me that not to blame a certain person or to go root for a different team because I see things differently than they see. And there's nothing wrong with that. I can see something wrong with the team that you don't see, but don't tell me to go root for a different team. I see it the correct way. You see it through the Kool-Aid lens of the Lions. It is what it is. Anyways, hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. And I will catch you guys next week. Peace.